flipping it around to the Carolina Panthers when they gave a top of tier 2 contract last year to Teddy Bridgewater, 3 years, $66 million. A lot of people were like, holy crap. And it looked like they were going to be tied to Bridgewater for at least 2 years when you consider the guaranteed money and the cap charge. And they're still looking at $10 million fully guaranteed in salary this year for Teddy Bridgewater. But whatever it was, whatever he did, whatever in the film room caused Matt Rule and or David Tepper and or Scott Fitterer to say enough's enough. Teddy got 1 year, and that's that. And it's not even a matter of let's see if we can clean it up. Let's see if we can fix it up. He didn't have Christian McCaffrey for most of the season. If he has McCaffrey, maybe he can be better. They were done. For as much as they loved him a year ago, Charean, they were able to decide in one season, this is not our guy. And now it's just a matter of time before he's a former member of the Carolina Panthers. But the reality is, if they don't find someone to take him via trade and take that $10 million in guaranteed money, they may have to just keep him around as the backup. You may have a situation where you've got a starter who's making about $4 million, and you've got a backup who's making well over $10 million. It's $10 million guaranteed, and I think, let's see what more there is on top of it. It's $17 million altogether in salary. So you could have a backup who is making dramatically more than the starter this year in Carolina if they can't find a trade partner and if they don't want to eat that $10 million in guaranteed money.
Yeah, and I started going down the list of teams, Mike, where he potentially would have a chance to go and start, and there just really aren't that many options. I mean, maybe New England, but I don't see New England trading for him. If Panthers decide to move on and cut him, that might be a possibility, but I just don't know that there's going to be a trade partner out there for Teddy Bridgewater. You know what would be a great landing spot I would love to see for Teddy? It's Tampa Bay, because you look at what Teddy did in New Orleans behind Drew Brees, and I think he's an upgrade on the backup quarterback situation in Tampa. Maybe he's their future quarterback if it doesn't work out behind him. If they can't draft that guy over the next couple of years, maybe Teddy gets that chance. But that, to me, would be a fascinating place to see Teddy go. Either Tampa or New England would be a place. But as far as going somewhere and starting, I don't see that, Mike. Do you?
No. Unless one possibility would be for him to go to the 49ers and be the stopgap short-term bridge to number 3 overall. That's one possibility. So you unload Jimmy Garoppolo at 25, acquire Teddy Bridgewater at 17, and then everyone knows going in, Teddy's just holding the spot until Mac Jones, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, or whoever is ready to go. That's the one way that I think that would happen. And if I recall correctly, and there's a good chance I don't, the 49ers did reportedly inquire about a potential Teddy Bridgewater trade. Here's the other thing, and I'll agree with you completely on the possibility of Teddy Bridgewater going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It was last year that Bruce Arians, the coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, told Peter King, following the signing of Tom Brady, they had narrowed down their wish list at quarterback to 3 guys. 1, Tom Brady. 3, Jameis Winston. 2, Teddy Bridgewater. So the idea of getting Bridgewater to take the place of Blaine Gabbert. Now, if he would be cut by the Panthers, look, anything less than $10 million, he's playing for free because he's getting the $10 million from the Panthers no matter what, less whatever he makes somewhere else. But he could really stick it to the Panthers if he wanted to. They cut him. He goes to Tampa and takes $2 million. Panthers are paying him $8 million to be the backup to Tom Brady and to stake his claim to potentially be the successor to Brady in Tampa Bay. And even though Teddy Bridgewater's been around for a while now, he's in his early 30s, he's more than 10 years younger than Tom Brady. So you're still going significantly younger when Tom Brady walks away, and then Bridgewater can be the guy until you exhaust whether or not he can truly get it done long-term. And if it doesn't work long-term, then you move on to someone else. So I think you're onto something with the Buccaneers. I think the 49ers are another possibility. I think if the Seahawks decide to trade Russell Wilson, Bridgewater is a guy who would be a better option than anyone else they currently have available. So the seats are getting limited. And And now that Darnold is taking the presumptive starting role in Carolina, Teddy's going to be moving on, Charean. But I think we've seen enough from him in recent years. And I saw enough from him last year. And I am stunned how quickly they fell out of love with Teddy Bridgewater. Yeah. I think there's enough there for him to get a shot somewhere else.
Yeah, and Mike, he is 28, and he doesn't turn 29 until November. So he is still young. He has 59 career starts. He has a Pro Bowl. We know that came before the devastating knee injury. But this is a guy potentially who could get better and better off of that knee injury, just recovering and being on the field and getting those reps that he didn't get in his third year and his fourth year. We know how long it was between his starts. So I think there's still a future there for Teddy Bridgewater. And if I'm a team like the Buccaneers, I'm absolutely moving on him, which is potentially, Mike, why Carolina sits on him and says, we don't want him leaving. We don't want him going to a division rival like the Buccaneers and potentially being, unless they're going to trade for him, potentially being the heir apparent to Tom Brady. We don't want that. So we'll just hold on to Teddy, see if Sam's any good. And we always had the potential to put Teddy back in the lineup. We know what he is.
I got one for you that it just occurred to me. Who's the general manager of the Denver Broncos right now?
Oh, yeah. George Payton.
George Payton. Right-hand man of Rick Spielman when Teddy Bridgewater was drafted by the Vikings at number 32 in 2014, the Johnny Manziel year. The Vikings had the private workout, fell in love with him. And it was just one of those stuff happens in the worst possible way that ended Teddy Bridgewater's time with the Vikings, the horrific knee injury, late August 2016. And then his contract ran out. They're not going to make him the starter going forward. Nobody knew what he was going to do. Nobody knew how healthy he was going to be. He's reestablished himself. I remember a time he went to Denver 2014, 2015-ish and beat the Broncos with the Vikings. It would have been 14, I think, if I recall correctly. For some reason, it sticks out in my head. I'm going to have to do my research during the break or while you're talking, multitask. I do vaguely recall. Maybe they lost. It was a close game in Denver that they lost on a Von Miller strip sack of Teddy Bridgewater. That's what it was, but it was a close game and the Vikings were driving. So I could see the Broncos, who clearly aren't enamored with Drew Lock because, number one, he can't stay healthy on a consistent basis. He's got the Jimmy Garoppolo fragile gene, all due respect, but if you can't stay healthy, that's just the reality. You're going to get criticized for that. And number two, when he has played, he hasn't consistently been great. Bridgewater could be the next domino that falls from 8 to 9 as the Broncos realize, you know what? We're not going to get a franchise quarterback in the top 10 either because of this run that's coming at the top 4 or 5 spots. Let's just go ahead and take Teddy Bridgewater if they can work that out. And then the Panthers, if they could do something where Bridgewater would rework his contract and they could hand it to the Broncos and avoid a situation where he's cut and he goes to Tampa Bay. Not that the Buccaneers would ever, tamper and put ideas in his head. No, the teams don't do that. But if they could pull this off, then it never gets to the point where he ever does realize, hey, I could just sit tight, get cut, and go play for the Buccaneers. But being the backup to Tom Brady versus being the starter in Denver, even if there's a chance to eventually start in Tampa, hard to say no to a chance to go to Denver and be the starter right away.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.